Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Jesus Revolution, making $8.4 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $30 million, and that total stays the same worldwide as it hasn't been released in any international countries yet. So this movie continues to be quite the sleeper hit at the box office right now. While the drop was a bit steeper than I was expecting, it still had the best hold out of any of the films in the top 5, just dropping 47%, which is still a very solid hold for this film in its second weekend. And thanks to that, it was able to double its $15 million budget domestically. The film is now officially a box office success. It's certainly going to be profitable, and this is definitely something Lionsgate is very happy for, just seeing a little sleeper hit right before John Wick comes and crushes the box office, but more on that later. Yeah, not much really else to say here. I do think this is going to be a lot leggier than what people expect it to, even with it not going to last in the top 5 for very long. I do think, once again, with how well received this movie was with audiences, especially with that A+ cinema score, this movie is really resonating with people and is going to continue to impress in terms of box office. So yeah, another solid weekend for Jesus Revolution. Number 4 was Demon Slayer to the Swordsmith Village, opening with $10 million this weekend domestically and $35 million worldwide. Yet another anime film completely takes me by surprise. I never heard of this. I didn't even know this was coming out. I apologize for that. But yeah, it was able to once again shake up the top 5 and really surprise a lot of people. You know, the fact that this got to $10 million in its opening weekend, when from what I've heard it's just 3 episodes of the show attached together into the length of a movie, and yet people still went to see it regardless of that, is still quite impressive. Shows you how huge the fan base is, you know, and how successful this show continues to be from this point on. But once again, seeing how this is an anime film, I do think it's going to continue the trend of being very front-loaded and plummet in its second weekend. But yeah, a very surprising opening weekend, not saying that in a negative way. Just think that, once again, since it's an anime film, it's going to be very front-loaded. But yeah, this was not a bad weekend at all for this movie. Number 3 was Cocaine Bear, making $11 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $41 million and a worldwide total of $53 million. So this movie had a pretty safe drop-off. It landed 52% in its second weekend, which is, you know, way better than I expected, given the B- cinema score rating. But still, you know, pretty safe bet for this is where you want your whole second weekend drop off to be. Really, this is the typical hold, and it also really helped the movie out as it pushed its worldwide total just a bit closer to the doubling point of its $30 to $35 million budget. It was also able to surpass that milestone domestically, as well as surpassing a couple other milestones, like surpassing the $50 million milestone worldwide, which is pretty impressive. We'll see if it can get to $100 million worldwide. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think it could get close. Not super close, but, you know, a decent margin away from that milestone. And domestically, it's certainly going to surpass 50 million domestically, which is definitely an accomplishment worthy of praise for a movie called Cocaine Bear. So yeah, this movie continues to do pretty well for itself. It'll be interesting to see how it can continue to do so. There's a lot more competition on the horizon, especially this weekend. There's a horror-esque movie coming out this weekend that we'll talk about much later in the video, and I think that's going to probably steal a lot of this film's audience, so we'll see how the film does against that. But yeah, still, Cocaine Bear is still doing pretty impressive overall. Number 2 was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, making $12 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $187 million and a worldwide total of $419 million. It was bad enough that the film dropped over 60% last weekend, but this weekend to do it again is just horrible. This is a disaster if I've ever seen it. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a flop. This isn't like Morbius or anything. This isn't like one of the biggest failures ever. It did double its $200 million budget worldwide, which is pretty impressive given how lackluster the word of mouth has been, but geez Louise, this is not good. Word of mouth is still not helping its out. It definitely has been facing off against stiff competition, especially one film that we will discuss in a moment. But yeah, the fact that this, once again, this is the startup to Phase 5, it's the introduction of their newest big bad. It had all of these things that they've been hyping up and building and leading to, yet audiences are not rushing out to see it. This is a pretty disappointing turnout for the film. I'm not sure if this movie will get to 500 million worldwide. At the very least, it should barely surpass it, but I'm going to be very skeptical about it. It does seem to be slowing down significantly, and I don't think it's even going to surpass Ant-Man and the Wasp's domestic total. It just doesn't seem likely given all the competition and the bad word of mouth. This is a very disappointing box office run for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. There's no other way to spin this, sadly. Again, it doubled its budget. It has that going for it. It's still the biggest movie of the year, domestically at least. Worldwide, I think it's still at number 3, but I digress. This is still not a very good run overall. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was Creed 3. Opening with $58 million this weekend domestically and $101 million worldwide. This is the second biggest opening weekend of the year, topping Megan, Cocaine Bear, and Jesus Revolution, but sitting behind Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It is also the biggest opening weekend for any film in the Rocky franchise, as well as the biggest opening for a sports movie. This is all around a fantastic opening weekend and a great start off to the box office in March, especially with the fact that this movie only costed $75 million. It's well made over that much worldwide. It's certainly going to double that very, very soon. Word of mouth is spectacular. Audiences are loving it. It received an A- on CinemaScore, which is great. And given that this is much more of a sports drama, it is a blockbuster, but it's more focused on the drama sports angle. I think this film will be able to stand out from the crowd and again benefit from the strong word of mouth. And also, you got to give credit to where credit is due to Michael B. Jordan, having this be his directorial debut and being such a successful opening weekend. You gotta give props and credit to him. I'm sure he's very, very happy for this, as well as Jonathan Majors, coming off of how Ant-Man is doing, leading to another successful opening, to say the least, because while Ant-Man is definitely disappointing, it had a good solid opening, and this is another solid opening, and it's definitely going to probably be more successful given that this is a cheaper movie to make. So yeah, congrats to Jonathan Majors as well. Yeah, overall this is a great start for Creed 3. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. I definitely think it's going to be the biggest film in the Creed franchise for sure, and it's probably going to become the second film of the year to surpass 100 million given the circumstances. So yeah, overall a fantastic start for Creed 3. We'll see where it goes from here, but yes, bravo. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet as we got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we have 2 new wide releases. I do know that Champions is also coming out this weekend, but given the lack of marketing or buzz I've seen for the film, I don't think it's really going to crack the top 5. So let's move on to the other 2 movies hitting theaters, the first being 65. This is a new sci-fi action film about people getting sent from the future to the past and now have to face off against dinosaurs. At least that's what I get from the trailers. Definitely has an interesting concept, and people certainly love dinosaurs. I mean, look how successful the Jurassic World franchise has become. And I definitely think when the first trailer dropped, it generated some buzz, but the downside is that buzz has definitely died down. I'm not hearing as many people talk about this movie movie as I think there should be, and I'm not sure if there's a lot of interest in this movie going forward, adding to the fact that the marketing hasn't been the best. I mean, I have seen promotion for it. They gave it a Super Bowl ad, for crying out loud, but I do think they could be doing a better job of selling the movie. So yeah, I'm not expecting great things. Who knows? It could surprise. Maybe it could end up like Cocaine Bear or Megan, or even Creed 3, just exceed expectations, but I'm not sure about this. And then the other big wide release is Scream 6. Just a little over a year after the last film, they are now releasing the next installment of the Scream franchise. I'm honestly surprised they were able to get it out this fast, but I also do think this movie is going to do very well. The marketing has been excellent. I've been seeing tons and tons of promos and advertising for it, and all the publicity stunts they've been doing, like all the fantastic posters and those ghost face sightings in New York. Oh my god, it's all been great and wonderful. The buzz is also really strong. I've been hearing lots and lots of people talking about this movie, and while reviews aren't out for the movie as of yet, first reactions are, and they've been mostly positive from what I'm seeing. People are really liking this movie. Honestly, this may be a bit of a bold prediction, but I think this might top Megan as the biggest opening for a horror film this year so far. I really think this movie is going to impress a lot of people and exceed a lot of the box office expectations, the same way that Megan and Creed 3 just did. So yeah, very high expectations. I think this movie is going to do very, very well this weekend, but we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied? Unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.